Hi there, Follow Fremont here, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to Imprint Short Stories, where I unleash original, gripping tales that will leave you spellbound. Today's story, The 27-Headed Beast, teaches us that real wealth and joy stem from love, cooperation, and community, not just chasing personal greed. I believe this will be one of the most enthralling stories you've ever heard. If at the end of this story you agree with my assertion, then smash that subscribe button and hit all notifications to stay tuned for more electrifying stories in this series. Now enjoy the 27-Headed Beasts. Thank you.
About 1,000 years ago, a beast named Uren dwelled in the land of the Euphrates. His friends called him Uren of the Euphrates due to his towering stature, which made him the most significant creature in the land. People flocked from far and wide to catch a glimpse of him. Many agreed he was the reason for the surge in tourism. Uren had a food bowl in every home. One night, Uren had a dream. In that dream, a muse asked, "How tall are you?" Uren replied, "How would I know? There is no measure long enough to gauge my length, but it is sufficient to know I'm the tallest in the land." "What good is this height to you?" the muse asked. "What a question you ask. I thought as a muse you should know everything," Uren answered. "Indeed, I know everything. That is why I asked. I am the servant of the land. I pluck all the fruits from the tall trees so they do not fall to the ground and break," Uren said proudly. "And then?" The muse looked up at Uren for more explanation. "Then I share the fruit among the people of the Euphrates according to the needs of our community. The children, followed by the elders, the physically and visually challenged, and the widows get their fill in that order." Uren added, "I would never perform such a role," the muse said. "Why? Is my effort and intention not noble enough?" Uren asked. "I think it is too noble, and that is my point." "Too noble? Your point? I do not understand," Uren lamented. "I think you receive too little for your good deeds. You can have all the best fruits of this land without any obligation to any community member. Besides, look at yourself. Do you consider yourself a part of this community? Look around this so-called community. Do you see anyone or anything that looks remotely like you?" The muse chuckled and paused. Uren sat and balanced his chin in his palm as he repeated the words of the muse in his head. He turned them inside out and debated the pros and cons. He seemed to agree that the words of the muse made a lot of sense, but how could he follow such advice without alienating himself from the good people of the Euphrates? He woke from the dream. The words continued to play in his head all night as he paced the floor of his room. The questions played in his mind. Is it possible to have all the best fruits of this land without any obligation to anyone? Am I truly a part of this community as I have envisaged all my life? After weeks of pondering over the matter, Uren decided to follow the advice of the muse for a week. He stretched the weeks to months. Early in the morning, he plucked the best fruits, ate his fill, and passed the rest to the community. The people, especially the children and widows, the physically and visually challenged of Euphrates, were unhappy. Many of them came by day and night to plead with Uren to revert to his old ways, but their words fell on deaf ears. As time moved on, Uren craved all the fruits, good or bad. He was, however, sad he could not eat all the fruits with a single mouth. So he traveled to the land of Nojai, famous for its wonders. There he purchases 26 extra heads for himself. While he was away, the citizens of Euphrates were glad to see the back of Uren. Many did not want him back. During his years and 2 months' absence from the land of the Euphrates, the people reorganized themselves and passed 3 laws. No one should pluck a mango from the tree for his personal use. No one should eat alone. All children, the aged, and people with various challenges must eat before the adults. Everyone became healthier within a short period of time. The widows, elderly, children, and people living with disabilities once again had enough to eat, and even some to spare. The tension over food disappeared. Uren returned with his 26 additional heads attached to his shoulders and an artificially intelligent sword. He gathered the people of Euphrates in the open country. He said to them, "See the sword the people of Nogai gifted to me. I will demonstrate the extent of power I wield in my hand today. Pay attention and witness its unimaginable wonders. More importantly, take heed of the immense power I hold in my hand." Uren unsheathed the sword, which was thrice the length of his arms. Some closed their eyes, while others shielded their eyes from the glitter produced when the sun's rays hit the blade of the sword. "Give me the head of a flying bird," Uren commanded the sword. Immediately, the sword jettisoned out of his hand and chopped off the head of a bird overhead. The people stood in awe. The message to them was clear. After that fantastic demonstration, Uren said, "I heard about the laws you passed in my absence. It may surprise you, but I like them. To prove my support, I will add to them one more law. I decree today in your presence of the entire people of the Euphrates that I fully support the 3 laws passed in my absence as long as they do not constrain me in any shape or form." Everyone was stunned by this announcement. However, there was something more important to consider than these 3 laws, the 27 heads of Uren. Uren struggled to bring them under central command. Some sang, some complained about hunger, others the burning sun. Some were sleepy, while others remained active. Uren found it difficult to steady himself as the result of the rowdiness of the heads. He wobbled as the weight of the heads shifted from back to front, left to right. His natural head was sad because it had lost its sole authority as the voice of his body. Uren, however, remained determined to demonstrate the utility of his 27 heads. The people of Euphrates were saddened and angered by Uren's decision to add 26 more mouths to their dinner table, especially with their dwindling food stock. Before his departure to Nogai, he had indulged in the finest and freshest fruits. With 27 heads now, the people feared he would require even more food, including those he previously discarded. Many did not want to witness the prowess of his 27 heads. They, however, could not leave because his sword was nearby, ready to obey his every command. The circumference of the circle of people around him increased as people moved away from him out of fear. Then the unthinkable happened. A lad caught his attention. Despite efforts to restrain the lad, he pushed himself to the front of the crowd and stood akimbo before Uren, reminiscent of David before Goliath. The people feared for his life. "Sir, I have a question for you," the lad said. "Who are you and what do you want?" Uren thundered, but the lad did not budge. "I am the son of deceased parents," the lad said. "Can deceased parents bring forth a child? Am I missing something here? Get this child out of my way or else I turn him to pieces." Uren threatened. The lad laughed, sending shocked waves through the crowd. "Rather, hold your anger and permit me to tell you to your face what you are missing." Uren put his right hand on the sword by his side. The lad looked at his hand. "I congratulate you, sir, for your 27 heads. I must confess they are massive, but impressive," the lad said. Uren removed his right hand from his sword and smiled. "Thank you. Quickly tell me what you have perceived that I have not." Uren growled at the little boy who stood before him without a tinge of fear. He scanned the crowd as if he was looking for someone or something. "Do not waste my time," one of the 27 heads shouted. "I want to go home," another yelled. "I am hungry," yet said another. The heads became disruptive and moved in all directions. Uren struggled to hold himself steady. The lad stood and listened as each of Uren's heads struggled to be heard. "Speak," Uren thundered impatiently. "Sir, I must congratulate you on your new heads," the lad repeated. "You are repeating yourself. I need to demonstrate the utility of these heads to the people of Euphrates. If you have nothing further to say, take your seat and forever hold your peace." "Please," the lad pleaded. "I shall be quick." "I am listening," Uren thundered. The lad cleared his throat. "I see 2 problems you shall face with these heads." "Tell me the problems," Uren said, taken aback. "How do you feed 27 heads on a single stomach?" the lad asked. "I do not understand," Uren said. "You have acquired 26 additional heads, but not a single additional stomach," the lad said. The light in the eyes of Uren dimmed. He stood and looked at the little boy. He turned to the crowd. Uren was quiet and catatonic for a while. "Who instructed you to ask me this question?" Uren asked. "No one, sir," the lad answered. Uren bowed his head. "I did not think about that," Uren admitted. "You should have thought about that before you brought me here," one of the heads shouted from the back. "I must return this minute to the land of Nogai for additional stomachs." "I agree. You must return as a matter of urgency. Some of your heads are already fainting due to lack of energy." As Uren turned to go, the lad stopped him. "Not so fast, sir. I have told only one of the problems." "Pray, tell me the second," Uren said. "Just one more thing." The lad moved closer to Uren. "These heads don't work together. Some crave sleep, some ripe fruits, some green fruits, some fresh fruits, some rotten fruits. Some are sleepy, others are active. What you have on your shoulder is a disaster. I advise you to fix this problem with these heads before you display their prowess." Uren shook his head. "It is impossible to find 26 heads that agree on everything every time. They will have different thought patterns, desires, passions, and appetites." "What shall I do now?" Uren asked, looking to the lad and then to the crowd. "Go at once to Nogai with the 26 heads, but return with one. Tell the people of Nogai you no longer need them. If these heads were valuable, the people of Nogai would not have given 26 of them to you. This life is simple. You need only one head and one stomach. Do not complicate things for yourself. Moreover, sir, these 27 heads only increase your vulnerability. If a man wants to strike you, you have given him 26 additional targets. Is that what you intend?" Uren looked at the little boy before him with a fallen crest. He was overwhelmed by a mix of regret and enlightenment. The weight of his own folly bore heavily upon him. In his quest to quench his insatiable appetite, he lost sight of what truly mattered in life, the friendship and well-being of his community. With a heavy heart, he spoke, "I shall do as you advised. Return not only the 26 heads, but also the sword. I have realized I do not need more food and power to be happy. What I truly need is greater love and cooperation." Uren's words carried a profound sincerity that resonated with the people of Euphrates. They saw in his eyes a genuine transformation, a turning point in his life that would reshape their community. "My little wise man," he continued, "thank you for telling me the truth, despite the threat of this sword. You've opened my eyes to the true riches of life, the unity and harmony of our people. I see now that my actions were not noble but selfish. I want us to return to the way things were before this Muse visited me in my dream." The crowd stood in awe, their hearts touched by Uren's confession. It was a moment of redemption, of a man coming to terms with his own shortcomings and embracing a path of humility and compassion. As Uren promised to return the excess heads and the sword to Nogai, the people of Euphrates felt a renewed sense of unity. They had learned a valuable lesson through Uren's ordeal, that true wealth lay not in power or possessions, but in the love and cooperation of a close-knit community. And so, Uren became a symbol of redemption and transformation, a man who had once lost himself in the pursuit of excess, but had found his way back to the heart of his community. The people of Euphrates, once divided by greed, were now united by the lessons they had learned.